Thank you, Maria Pallotta-Chiarolli. We've already spoken to you several times, both in an Ascolta and non-Ascolta capacity. And Katrina Lolicato. Buon pomeriggio. Hello, thanks for joining us on via Zoom on Radio Italia 1.
Hi, Maria.
Hey, Katrina, good to see you.
You too.
Okay, and of course, as I often say, we have, yes, I should raise the volume. Hi, how are you?
Thank you again, Antonio, for your wonderful ongoing support of Ascolta.
Beautiful. So it's working now. Yes, well, you've got, so Maria is, I think, now physically in Adelaide, and Katrina, I think, now physically in Melbourne. And that's partly because, well, I say I think, but sometimes I'm not quite sure. It doesn't really matter as long as you have an internet connection. Ascolta Women has events coming up both in Adelaide and in Melbourne. And you've just launched your latest, your annual anthology. Yes, Maria, can you tell us about, that's it, Il Corpo, Stories from Il Corpo. What does that mean?
I'll speak briefly because everybody has heard from me too much on your program, Antonio, and we'd love to hear from Katrina much more. But this is our latest one. As Katrina, being an Ascoltessa, we've been going for 6 years. This is now our 6th anthology, Stories from Il Corpo, about women's bodies and medical, health, emotional, a whole lot of art, photography, writing that really explores our bodies as Italian women or women from Italian heritage. So, and the events that are coming up will be very much about that. But I can speak about our Adelaide event a bit later. But it's, as always, look at it. It's just a beautiful book.
Oh, it's
with so many women.
So nice images. Yeah. I remember the very first launch that you had with the luncheon at maybe, was it the San Giorgio Club?
Yes.
And with Vinnie Ciccarello as keynote speaker. Lovely event.
It was wonderful. And this cover has been done by Elena Calipari, who does collages works and really looks at, we look at the different parts of women's bodies, but also how society and sometimes the medical institutions distort our bodies as well. That's it.
Or don't understand them. So we'll come. Or actually, there are several reasons then why Katrina would be an excellent person to continue with what you've just said there. We're talking about the medical fraternity. Well, fraternity, yes, indeed. So, Katrina, you're a Melbourne. It's the first time we've met you. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about what you do and your connection with Ascolta Women.
Oh, well, I was lucky enough to meet Teresa and Maria right back in 2020 when Ascolta was just starting and we were all locked in and locked down in Melbourne, and Ascolta started online, and it was a real way for us we'd not known each other too well. I think each might have brought a friend or two or a cousin or two into the group, or I had my sister with me, and but we were able to kind of create this community. My parents call it, just with love, my coven, this beautiful community of women of all ages, from and across generations. How many? We've probably got like 3 or 4 generations of women with Italian heritage, and now it's international as well. And this idea of coming together every 2 weeks and sharing our experiences, whatever they were, none being more or less Italian, none being, more or less important or perfect, having a space to listen and to share and to grow. I feel like I'm in my 40s. I am I'm in the middle of the pack, I think, with the age, but the idea of having this incredible group of women who are activists, who are community leaders, who are mums, teachers, nurses, across all walks of life. And we've all become, I feel like I've been mentored through, you know, through motherhood, through my professional work, through this storytelling as a catalyst. So for me, I can't tell you, Antonio, it's enriched my life and created some great bonds over the years.
Lovely.
I think.
Yes. So, and when you're not in those bi-weekly sessions with Ascolta Women, what do you do?
Oh, I do a mixed match of things, Antonio. So I work in aged care and end of life support. As a myotherapist and a remedial massage therapist, I tend to our elders who are often older than 90. And I've also gained qualifications in end of life doula work. So supporting people and their families, not just through their last days, but hopefully through their last years. One of the challenges I found working in aged care was that we tend to focus on fixing the body, you know, fixing injuries, and what I found is that often our elders really want to know that their life has meaning, not just had meaning, but continues to have meaning. They're continuing to feel connected to religion and spirituality, to their families, communities, to nature, and really a part of the world, not just kind of sitting at home waiting for people to come and go and clean the house or rub their feet, you know, or the physio. So that's where the end of life stuff started. So now we bucket list, we do life stories, we create creative projects, and it's really hopefully about keeping people feeling that connection as well. And then when I'm not doing that, I have the great honour of being a lowly sessional academic at Deakin, where I've somehow found myself teaching health as well.
Deakin University.
Yes.
That's very, very good. So does your work life filter through into your practice? What do you do in the Ascolta?
Oh, in Ascolta, so I have tended to actually submit videos via QR codes. Actually,
yeah.
I guess I struggle to write, but I find that I can get some ideas down if I'm playing around with film, especially archival footage, family footage, that kind of thing. And I've been allowed or welcomed to present my creative works in that way into the book, so via a QR code, which is, I thought, one of the greatest things to come out of COVID is the ubiquitous use of the QR code. Possibly not in restaurants, but in books and for creative work, it's been really, really helpful.
Fascinating.
Katrina,
okay.
sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, Antonio, can I ask Katrina, can you tell us about that incredible film you made, Gracie?
Oh, Her Grace.
Oh, Antonio, it's beautiful. It needs a whole program for itself. This is beautiful. Anyway.
Thank you, Maria. So Her Grace is a short film. It's only about 8 minutes long, and it's my father actually telling just a short vignette about his life growing up as a Sicilian Calabrian child, migrant parents in Swan Hill, and it deals with his sister's illness and passing. But what we tried to do in that film, I think the really interesting part of it is, I think, how we've managed to edit the family photos in a way that tries to mimic the idea of an elder remembering. So the edits are really quick, they're choppy, you see bits of images. It's not a straight linear story. You know how we often think that stories and memory has a beginning, a middle, and an end, you know, but actually when you're sitting with your elder person, the person you love, often these memories come in moments, you know, and it's our job to put them all together. So what we've tried to do is just take a little story that possibly, most people might have something similar or familiar. So it's a really familiar story about growing up in the country, but how we've edited it, we were trying to remind people, our audiences, particularly academia, that memory is complicated and not perfect. And a lot of my work actually addresses that. So the idea that culture isn't perfect. It's not a script we're supposed to follow and replicate. Heritage isn't about grabbing what we've got from the previous generation and passing it on. It's about working, and it's a process that we kind of grapple with, and we try and bring into relevance with how we're dealing with contemporary life as well. So it's a way of thinking, a way of remembering, a way of connecting.
Yes.
But yes, I think it was on SBS, that film. I think they forgot to take it down because it was so short. They kind of just snuck through the system. I think they finally remembered. They finally took it down, but it's available online to see anyway.
Yeah, and it's very nice that I think you can connect the physical book with online material via the QR code. So that's a very good. I don't know if it's innovative, but I think it suggests a very interesting way of thinking about producing these works of art. Yeah. Okay. So we're kind of segueing. We've already talked about the anthology that I think was officially launched in Melbourne. Usually it's launched on or around International Women's Day.
Yeah.
But you are continuing to promote it, talk about it, with some more events coming up. So let's ask Maria about what's next.
Well, what's next here? Thanks, Antonio and Gracie. Katrina, I love hearing about your film, Her Grace. So what's happening on May the 2nd, Saturday at 3 o'clock at Goodwood Bookshops, 145 Goodwood Road, just down from the Capri Theatre. Sarah, who owns this incredible bookshop of old and new books, and it's a beautiful space to catch up. We're actually going to hold an event with some readings, conversation about women's bodies, with people like Laura Di Martino, who's a very well-known Adelaide writer.
I think I'm going to hear and see her this afternoon.
Me too.
She's got an event.
I'll see you there.
Yes. I'll be wearing my mask. I'll be wearing my mask, but that's okay.
Oh, that's okay. And Pina Marino, Amy Panetta, Carla Caruso, and of course there's so many. We're going to be given permission to read other people's stories, but also have a conversation, and it's a beautiful space. So that's Saturday, May the 2nd at 3 o'clock at Goodwood Bookshop with Sarah. And I tell you, the bookshop is beautiful. It has so many books from so many generations, as well as some of the latest ones. Not always just written by women, men and women, everyone is welcome. We're also going to be selling our new Ascolta merch. We've now got tote bags, and that is actually the cover of the first one, if you remember, Antonio. That's it.
Yes.
I got it.
Stories from the inside.
So this is, of course, created by Lucy Calipari Marcuzzo, who's an amazing, renowned artist and performance artist. I think that's the right term. So we've now got these beautiful tote bags. So that's what we're doing. Antonio, I sent you the Humanitics registration. So if you could put that up at some point. But also, everyone, just turn up to Goodwood Books, Saturday, 3 o'clock, May the 2nd, and we'll have a beautiful catch-up with refreshments. And you will love the space. If you haven't been to Goodwood Bookshop yet, the incredible space.
Yes,
is beautiful.
We'll get to it in a second. Now, we've spoken to Pina and Carla on this program, and I was a lovely bit about Carla's story was she said that eventually when she disregarded all the advice she'd been given and she started talking about her personal cultural background, the work came much better and was much more interesting. Now, I know there are several Calipari, but I'm pretty sure I've spoken to the Calipari Marcuzzo on this program. It's delightful. Now, this Goodwood Bookshop, let's be a bit more precise. I walk along Goodwood Road, so I should walk past it. Given that you mentioned the Capri, So is it on the same block as the Capri Cinema?
Yes, it's
Okay.
yeah. So I think the Capri Theatre Cinema is on a corner, and then
Corner?
2 shops down, 145 is the
Okay.
Goodwood Bookshop.
So
Yeah.
that should be opposite the old church. There's no longer a church there.
Yes, I think it is. And further down, there's another beautiful old church which has been made into an incredible cafe space.
There's a cafe there.
We welcome everyone.
Front.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay,
really
so
beautiful. And
Saturday the 2nd of May, which is
at
in
3 o'clock.
2 weeks' time.
Yep, 2 weeks' time.
Now, let's go back to reconnecting a couple of things. Maria mentioned how, amongst other things, the medical profession or professions of the areas don't necessarily, or haven't in the past, a bit, and probably still don't enough understand women's bodies and women's health. Katrina, how are you seeing this in your various professions? Can you also maybe teach some of this?
Oh, well, in my daily practice, when I visit elder migrant women in particular, what I find is a huge amount of medical anxiety brought about through historical experiences with medical profession, in all honesty. Mistakes have been made. Communication is often really poor. Even if there's a translator, you often find women who are, in their elder years, who don't speak English as their first language, are spoken about and not directly to. So they're often being spoken over. If I've heard of women making firm decisions and expressing wills, and doctors not listening and diverting to children and family members. I've got a story. One of my clients had a knee reconstruction about 10 years ago, and for 12 weeks she was going back to the doctor saying, my knee really hurts, I'm in a lot of pain. And the doctor kind of had this sense of maybe she's exaggerating, which is an assumption that also happens with women and pain, especially migrant women in pain, that somehow they're exaggerating their pain, that they're a little bit more animated with their expression of pain. And finally, the doctor agreed to give her an X-ray, and they hadn't actually put her kneecap back in her knee.
Oh,
no.
I've heard stories of women who have lost babies and they haven't known, so stillborns, and so it's contemporary and it's historical, but the anxiety is there, Antonio, and that's not a great picture to be painting. And of course there are excellent physicians and doctors and experiences out there, but I think the ones that always stand out are those where women simply haven't been listened to and ignored. And I've had that in my own experience as well. So and then again, as I was saying, this idea of constant improvement, people assuming that in your 90s you want to fix your arthritis, and that's often not the case. Often what is the case is people want comfort, people want reprieve, and people want to feel like they're being acknowledged. So I think that's our Western our new Western mindset of constant improvement, constant gains, and end of life is about consolidation more so than gaining, even health.
Well, actually, you reminded me in the final days, my father, he would say just, "Dammi la mano," hold my hand.
Yes.
I think he'd realised he was going, and there was that bit of comfort of that, or the personal touch and the touch of a family member. Yeah, it was important.
Holding people, and often we need to remember that this generation left their families, and so they weren't able to engage in the rituals of passing or death that continued at home, that they had been engaged in for generations and generations. They weren't able to care for their mums and their dads as they left because they were here and their families were there. So we as a diaspora are also somewhat disconnected from our end-of-life rituals, our end-of-life patterns and processes, which makes dying actually really scary, because we don't have that continuity, you know, of seeing those rhythms happen. And they're kind of there on, it's like, they're there like they're next on the list kind of thing, I'm going to go, so there's a lot of fear that we don't acknowledge, probably because it's an uncomfortable topic for us as well.
Yes.
We don't like talking about it, so they don't get to talk about it. There's so much that we could say. One of my goals as a creative and as a professional and as a teacher, I would love for us to be able to incorporate more, not non-clinical practice and end-of-life practice into our support for elders.
Yes, and a related issue.
Yeah.
I think, yes, and a lot of research, especially medical research, has been on the male adult. So children and women are kind of a variation on that considered, but it's increasingly being discovered. Yes, okay, and we won't go into personal issues, but we've come across situations where the same disease manifests differently in men and women, and that's. I'm wondering if that might come out or might have come out in the book. I don't know. So, are there stories or elements about health issues and women's medical?
Yeah, there are, Antonio, and I'm just so aware I want to leave time for Katrina to tell us about the Brunswick Green Heritage event. But yes, there are stories about women's experiences with health systems. There's also stories about body image and women. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, one of the stories I give is that this, Antonio, this, everybody, has always been my problem. I've got a big chin. I know, and I and now I'm okay with it. But my story is about what I went through as a child. So we've got women talking about birth, death, reproduction, their bodies, but also social expectations around their bodies, but also the beauty of what our bodies can do. And things like how we create our bodies or curate, Katrina, like tattoos and costuming. And there's beautiful pictures around tattooing. And we take Amy Panetta's piece is all about la lagrima perfetta, and the perfect tear. And the other one she does is la mana, the hand. So women are writing all sorts of beautiful things like that. So, lots to explore in this book.
Okay, we've got 2 minutes before we get kicked off of this meeting. So, Katrina, what was this that Maria was talking about in Brunswick?
Okay, so in Melbourne, we have on Sunday the 3rd of May, between 3 and 6 p.m. at a little bar on Sydney Road in Italian diaspora heartland in Brunswick, we have our Shapeshifters event. So we're inviting people, it's a participatory event, so there'll be Ascolta women there sharing some of their stories, but there's plenty of space for others to come in and start an inter-community conversation. We're inviting people to bring a photo or an object or a 3-minute written piece, jump up on stage and share your story about somebody who has created a change or shape-shifted your world. So that's on Sunday the 3rd of May. And then on the 12th of May, we have at the Venator Club in a place called Bulleen, our Women's Circle Health and Community market stall. So that event brings together women celebrating local talent, strengthening ties between small business and community. It'll be a nice, relaxed afternoon as well. So come along to that if you're in Melbourne, and definitely say hello at the Brunswick Green. Her Grace, which is a film that I made with my sister Gracie, will be screening, as long as a beautiful visualised poem by our an amazing poet called Rosanna Morales. So that'll be screened as well in intermission. So come along for the short films and the stories and join in.
Okay, we're going to be kicked off. So next time I'll ask Katrina about her Italianness and Italian stories. So I'll say thank you both for coming on, and nice to meet you, Katrina, and best wishes for this and the future anthologies that you produce as Ascolta Women.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Great sharing. Ciao, ciao, Katrina. Ciao, ciao.
Thanks.